emphasize them. When you're younger and you're presented with an opportunity, a lot of times you don't have all the answers, but you still need to jump and take that risk. And I think what Cassandra, her life story has been, yeah, I believe in myself and I will figure it out. So I'm going to take the jump. Welcome to Spark Me, a podcast for women who know life is just getting interesting.
Each week, we spark great conversations, share lived experiences, real resources, and tap into the collective wisdom that comes from learning together.
If you're looking for connection, not perfection, fresh ideas, and a community where you truly belong,
then pull up a chair. You're in the right place. Welcome to Spark Me.
Hey, how are you, Michelle?
Hey, Liz, how you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, awesome.
So how has your
Good to
week
see you.
been?
It's been busy. I had a big event happen on the side or benchmark. What do they call it? Anyway, my son graduated from high school. So
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations.
thank you. So he was yeah, he's off into the world now, and it was a great graduation. It was outside, it was beautiful, and we went to dinner afterwards and had a big hibachi, which was a lot of fun too with the great people. And oh, I was so proud of him. It was a good parent moment, you know. It was just a beautiful day,
Yeah. I
beginning
don't
to end.
I thought he was a junior. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize he was
Oh
a
no,
senior this
oh no,
year.
see, grad.
Nice.
I think over here too. See,
Uh,
congratulations. Right?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
it was,
it's such an exciting time, right? In their lives.
yes, it really is. And I said, how do you feel? You know, and he's like, I feel good. He's like, I feel nervous. I'm like, about graduation. He goes, a little bit because it's going to be long and boring. But he said, mostly about what happens afterwards, you know, because
Yeah.
you know, what's happening. It's like,
I
I'm not in
know.
the safety of just being a kid anymore, right? I need a
Yeah.
teen, or I need to start to figure things out. So, um so he's going to do great. I'm excited. I'm excited for his next steps. And it was just a nice moment. So that's like, you know, the kids are up and out in
I
a
know.
way, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
um yeah, so so you know, my story's a little different obviously, but with my kids, but it was just awesome. It was just awesome. So yeah, so that's a big thing that happened this week. How about yourself, Liz? What's going on your side?
I did not have any momentous occasion this week. I'm feeling
Momentous.
really
That's the word. I couldn't find momentous. Right.
But I will say that a lot of my friends have kids graduating this year for whatever reason. And in many cases it's their only child or their last child. And it's so it just makes me think about how I was at that time, right? And how you were so excited to have accomplished, high school and a little nervous for what was next, but it was an excited nervousness. And I'm just so excited for these kids because
Yeah.
they truly are like at the precipice of like a whole new world.
Yeah, a world we can't even imagine right now. It's like, what was it like to be young? Do you even know? Can you even feel you're on the cusp of what's coming? I really feel we're going to look back even at this conversation, Liz, like in a
Hmm.
year, in 2 years, God, in 5 years, and be like, do you remember what life was like back then? Like,
Exactly.
because technology is happening so quick, and I think it's going to take us all by surprise. Even if you feel like you might be ready for it, I don't think we are. That's how I feel. And I'm kind of amazed. Have you seen all these like commencement speeches where as soon as somebody mentions AI, people are booing?
Yes, and how about, was it Stanford where like,
Yes,
half the class walked out on
walk
the Google
it
CEO? I was like, "Okay."
out. Meanwhile, I'm in a meeting the other day and we're trying to picture how something looks like in an office, and I'm just like, do, 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 do. I'm like this, you know, and
Yes,
it's like,
I know
Like, I love
my ne
it.
my next door neighbor, her son graduated this year as well. And before the graduation party, which they were having in their backyard, she did a lot of like just home refreshes on the exterior because they were going to have this big graduation party. And she did the entire thing through Chat GBT. Like she would be sending me pictures of her front door and she would say, I have three different planters with flowers. What do you think that, that Chat GBT came up with? And then she wanted to repaint the house. What do you think of color 1, 2, or 3? I mean, and I was like, impressive use of AI right there.
Yes, well done, well done, well done. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's cool. I mean, yeah, I may eat those words, but right now I kind of enjoy it. I'm sure there'll be a time where I'm maybe terrified by it, but it's funny because I was talking to some young women who had never seen the Terminator,
Oh my goodness.
and I was like, wait a minute, right? So like, so I because your phones listen, like the next thing I know, I'm getting like Terminator reels, and one comes up, and it's like it's exactly describing like a situation that just happened with like Claude, like going around humans and doing some coding on its own, and the whole, and it's like I'm like, oh my God, it's Skynet, and like like the whole thing was it's a little bit unreal and uncanny how like some of these predictions could could I hope it doesn't turn into that,
I
I hope it's like
know.
a nicer AI and not like, a nuclear war. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's we don't know yet. We don't know.
We don't know, but
But
we do have a guest in the queue who is an AI expert that we're bringing on in a couple of
yes.
weeks.
Oh, that'll be
So,
so much fun. That'll be so much fun. And like, but then at the same time, Liz, to bring it back to like just everyday things, like, um, so another thing I did this weekend was I went up to the lake. I love the lake. It's about, 20 minutes from here. And I just wanted to paddleboard on the lake. I just couldn't
yeah.
wait. I hadn't broken out the paddleboard. I hadn't done it yet. And just my heart, my soul, everything was calling to be on the lake and the beautiful, sun. And so I went up and like I get out the paddleboard. I start pumping it. It goes up. I'm pumping, and I'm pumping, and I'm pumping. And it takes me too long to realize
Oh, Michelle.
it's a good
Uh,
workout though. There's a hole in my paddleboard.
oh my
And
gosh.
so luckily my family's up there. I found another one
Uh,
but I gotta get a new paddleboard. So if anybody has any recommendations, send them along. I would love
well,
a paddleboard recommendation.
I had my sister in this weekend, and I'm going to tell you a sister story. And I want to preface this by saying I love my sister dearly. Okay.
That is
And
always
no,
the way you start a good story.
in no way should my story count as like, I don't like my sister. It is just that anybody that has a sister, especially an older sister, may be able to relate to this story that I am about to tell. Okay.
Yeah.
So I decided a couple months ago that I was going to refresh the cushions on my patio because due to my inattentiveness in covering up said cushions with, the furniture covers, they were now moldy and gross. Okay. So the old cushions were going to have to go, and I was going to have to find a reasonable substitute, which, if you know anything about patio cushions, like it took me a month and a half to find anything that was remotely the same dimensions as the cushions that I currently own, right? So when I ordered these cushions, the description of the fabric, the color of the fabric was natural canvas. Now, when you hear that
I got
description,
it. It's in my head. Yeah.
like sort of like a
It's
creamy,
durable. Yeah,
durable,
creamy. Yeah,
yeah,
good. A little rough. Yeah, a little
right.
rough, but easy to clean. Yeah.
Yes. And rather than ordering a swatch, which may have been the smarter move, I went ahead and ordered 8 cushions, okay, to cover a love seat and 2 occasional chairs. And when all 8 cushions, which took half of a UPS truck, to drop off, when they got here and I opened them up and I pulled them out, they were less canvas, natural canvas, whatever, than I would have expected. They were more white. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you know that the mistake to start off with, I'm already recognizing is the fact that I'm a poor person as far as like covering my furniture to begin with. And so now I've got all white cushions. But you know what? I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to be really diligent. I'm going to pull those cushions every time there's one drop of rain in the forecast, right?
Never drink any wine,
Exactly.
red wine, on those
Exactly.
cushions.
Exactly. So I put the cushions out, and I spend, and we decide, my sister and I decide to invite a friend over for dinner on Saturday night. I have not cleaned up my yard. So I literally started at 8 a.m. and cleaned until 5 p.m. Okay. I'm saying planted my herbs, cleaned the pool, like, I mean, everything, right? Now I am hot and sweaty, and I am very proud of the look of the backyard now because I have just spent, all these hours cleaning it. And I said to my sister, "Do you want to go take a look?" And she's like, "Sure." So she goes out there. Now, mind you, she has done nothing. Not one iota, nothing, not a, hey, can I, Windex that table for you? Nothing. Okay.
Mhm.
And she comes back and instead of saying what would have been the appropriate answer, no matter what you thought, "Hey, it looks great. You did a great job." Okay. That would have been the appropriate answer. No,
For sure. Yeah.
instead she said, "You got white cushions? It looks like Miami out there." It's like, it does not look like Miami. It looks like the Hamptons. And I was so irritated because it really, like, I mean, she knew I worked so hard on cleaning the stupid patio, and I was just irritated, and it just set me off. And so I was like, whatever. I'm never gonna get, like, she just can't say
No, she's
she,
the oldest.
she has no filter. Like, just
Yeah.
be
My my
straight.
my oldest sister Kristen, we call her Buzzkill Kristen, right? And I borrowed that from my best friend Erin, who calls her oldest sister Buzzkill Julie. Like, it's just like I'm
I'm
like, "Oh, I'm
using
stealing that."
it. I'm totally stealing that. Meanwhile, just to wrap up the story, so our friend comes over for dinner and she walks out into the patio and she goes, "Oh my God, your patio looks great. It looks just like the Hamptons out here." No word of lie. And I did
You
not,
and
I know, I did not like, push her at all. I just said, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is why you and I are friends."
She gets you, Liz.
She
She gets
totally
you.
got me.
Difference between an oldest sister and a friend,
Yes.
like there it is. It's Miami versus the Hamptons.
Exactly.
Nothing against Miami.
Yeah.
We love Miami. That's really funny. That's really funny. Well, hopefully you'll be able to use your backyard for the 4th of July, which is coming up. And that segues into our guest that
Yes.
we had on our program, who was amazing.
Amazing.
Cassandra Coleman. Now, I'm going to say her name right for the rest of this Spark Short. Cassandra Coleman. Wow, Liz, what? Huh, that just that was a very cool conversation.
Yeah.
I just,
She
it just really inspired me.
So I've known Cassandra for a long time, but not well. Like, I knew her to say hello. I've seen her at different meetings and stuff like that. And I knew a little bit of her background. But that interview, she's one of the single most impressive women I think I've met in a long time. And her positivity is off the charts.
That's what really, like, struck me. It's how positive she is, and, like, she's not doing anything easy. Like, it's not easy to go to school and be a mayor. It was not
Mhm.
easy to, be a single mom and, work at the high levels that she's working at on very demanding projects. But she does it with such a good attitude. And I really loved when she said, like, hey, sometimes it gets me. Sometimes I make a mistake or a breakdown and I give myself 24 hours and I get back up and keep going. And that was a great message, I thought. Like, it's okay. It's okay to like have a
Yeah,
moment to feel it and to be human and let it, let something get to you, but don't let it keep you down. That was
totally.
cool. Yeah,
Totally. And
love
I
that.
and I think that like her I think that her attitude of, you know, engaging every city, every town, every county in the state of Pennsylvania in the America 250 PA project, from small towns to big cities. She was I don't know Governor Wolf at all, and I don't know how he made the decision to choose her to run this project. I honestly don't think that there's anybody that could have done it as well as Cassandra. And obviously she has a team. So, she put together the team and they're executing and she has a phenomenal team too. But man, what she is doing is it was inspiring. I was so excited after that interview.
Me too. And I did not really know a lot about America 250 PA. The breadth and the scope of it is unbelievable. Like, there's so many cool things happening, and I'm glad that she got to talk about them. And I hope everybody hears it and go back and listen to the episode because the stuff that, the stuff that's going on over this next year, and especially with, the 4th of July coming up, which, the birthday of our country, like it's amazing. And what a way to celebrate the country and, like community again, and you remembering that we're all in this together, which is easy to forget sometimes. And that's what I love too. Like, the conversation didn't feel like a left or a right or a this or that. It just felt
Right.
America. It's about
Exactly.
America. Yeah, that was
Exactly.
really cool. Love that. And yeah, I can't believe what a big project. And it sounds like it started from like, it's just like, here's some really kind of fuzzy guidelines
Pretty
for what this thing
much.
can be. Yep. Here's almost a skeleton. You could put meat on the bones, but you might also need a few more bones. You have to grow a few bones. It sounds like she nailed it.
Well, like I said, I mean, I she presented to a board that I was on about 8 years ago or so, when she was first given, this role, and she was looking for sponsors, and I really wish I knew, her better back then, because I would have known to sponsor it because it would be a success, because you
Mm-hmm.
can tell that what she puts her mind to, she's gonna drive to success. And, so I took when she told the story of, one of the you know, one of the folks in her network that she went to initially to get funding, at the very beginning, where he went back and wrote out a check for $25,000 just because he believed in her without any brochures or catalogs or collateral material. He said, "Look, I believe in you. Here's a check to get you started." I totally could see why he would do that.
Yeah, yeah, I get it too. I really do. And it's funny because just since the episode aired, the things people like that I've seen on my social media or that have come my way are just people who just like love Cassandra, like just are just like she's great,
Mhm.
like and people who I really respect because I like yourself, I know her that well, and it's really cool to see the support and the sort of backing she has, and obvious to see, you can obviously see why, right? But
Yeah.
I also loved, oh my God, the sweet stories about her son and
Yes.
this kid, how he was just like, oh yeah, hey, there's the governor, I'll be right back, right?
I think, and I loved how she was so honest about the fact that, she's missing some of his little league games or, different events in his life because her job requires her to be, somewhere that at that time. But the balance is that he's getting these amazing experiences and this comfort level with a variety of people at all stations of life. And I think that people forget that you don't have to. Your kids are going to be okay if you miss that game. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's life is a give and take, and don't beat yourself up over it. And I really felt like Cassandra had such a great attitude and understanding and self-awareness
Yeah.
about that.
I did too. I really appreciated that. And I also like that she said, just when she was the mayor, like going all the way back. First, the story about how she, you know, kind of fell into the job of mayor. I think she was, I think her grandfather probably saw a little spark in her early on, and I think he's like,
Mhm.
I think I'm going to fan that flame. You know what I mean? Like I think we see somebody who has a gift for public service, and the the fact that she stepped up when he got sick and sadly passed away. Um, but like at such a young age, how do you get that confidence, right? I like that
Mhm.
kind of, yeah, okay, I'll do this. I can do it. And that she didn't say it in a way that was like, um, but I loved how she said, like, look, I was I was the youngest mayor. They always like to
Mhm.
say, oh, she's a female or youngest female mayor, but she's like, they never said that for the males. And she's like, I just thought of myself as a mayor, like a young mayor,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, that was a good perspective to have because yeah, I the more we say it's it's unusual that it's a female, the more that kind of paints that is something unusual or you know I think we're kind of getting through that stuff now, right? Where it's just like not a thing that it's a
Yeah,
woman.
I think
I
well,
hope.
two things I wanna, talk about, 2 points that you just made there that I think are really important, so I do think we should emphasize them. When you're younger and you're presented with an opportunity, a lot of times you don't have all the answers, but you still need to jump and take that risk. And I think what Cassandra, her life story has been, yeah, I believe in myself and I will figure it out. So I'm going to take
Mhm.
the jump. Right. And I really want younger women to hear that because anything you accomplish, you have to do that. Right. When you
Yeah.
started your business,
Oh
you had
God.
to take a leap of faith in yourself.
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
that you could make this work, and look how successful it has
Yeah.
become. And I think people see the success side of it and they forget that there was that very scary moment at the beginning where you had to say, I'm all in.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. No matter what happens, I'm in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if you failed, who cares? So you would have learned
Yeah.
so much, and
Yeah.
then you would have applied that knowledge to the next, endeavor. And I just see a lot of young people who feel like they need to have all the boxes checked before they take the leap. And I'm like, the world doesn't work that way. You got to take the
Yeah.
leap.
Yeah.
Um, and figure it
Couldn't
out
agree more.
on the way down and hopefully before you hit the
Yeah.
ground. So
Absolutely.
I really feel like Cassandra is one of those people, and over and again in her life she has done that, and so I think that's a great example. And then on the leader versus woman leader, female leader, I think it's so I even find myself correcting myself by
Yeah, me too.
pulling out that adjective woman.
Yeah.
No, she's a
I
leader.
think we had to pull it out of the title of the episode. Like
Yeah.
we did it right after
Yeah.
she said it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it's like we want to use that as an adjective for something because I mean, if we're being honest, there are still things where that is not as, you know, not as common as men doing it. Like, Liz, the other day, and it wasn't long after after Cassandra's episode because of course it got me thinking about all these things. And then we met Liz Truss, the former Prime
Hmm.
Minister of the UK, at your office, and I thought, there have been two female prime ministers. That's not a lot, but at least there have been two female prime ministers of the
Three,
UK.
three. No, there have
Three,
been
sorry,
three. Yes.
you're right, you're right. I stand corrected. And then there's been a female president of Liberia, like in Africa, and
Hmm.
I'm like, we still have not had a female president of the United States,
I
and
know.
that bothers me for some reason. Like I'm like it's 250 years.
I know.
250 years. And some of the smartest women I know out there, just so qualified. And why? I'm not sure. There's probably reason, but I just can't kind of get my head around that right now.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's interesting. You know, uh, the when they did the Declaration of Independence, right, and the Constitution 250 years ago, they gave rights to most people, but they didn't give full rights to African Americans, and they didn't give full rights to women.
Mhm.
And then in this after the Civil War, African Americans got the right to vote. Women still did not get the right to vote. So when you start to look at the history of women, you see that on the order of priority, we are constantly lower on the list. Now, I don't know why that is because we're half of the population.
Exactly.
But for whatever reason, I mean,
Yeah.
women couldn't have their own mortgage or a bank account in their own name, like in the 70s. I mean, that's crazy to me. Um,
That literally like makes my heart beat. Like I'm just like, what? Right? Like makes
exactly.
my adrenaline rush. I'm like, how could that have been so recent?
You and I are both single female homeowners.
Yeah.
That would not have existed back then.
No. No. I've said before, sometimes when I watch like like Pride and Prejudice, that kind of stuff, anything from those eras,
Mhm.
it's almost hard for me to watch because I'm
I
like,
know.
oh my God, what would I have done back then? I can't imagine myself being in a position where I'd have to fall into that construct, clearly, because I don't like the construct.
Yeah,
And I just, I think that would have been a very difficult. Women who sort of have that independent streak and like that sense of pride in themselves and like I can do it and I'm just as good as, you know what I mean? Like or better. Like how did they survive back then?
I know,
You
right?
know? Like pushing
And
against a system that seemed impossible, you know?
and yet I have to say, like, as progressive as we are not at the president level, I was having a conversation the other night with one of the caregivers for my dad, and she is from the country of Georgia, and and she was describing her upbringing in Georgia, where um, she said, she knows how to cook and keep house and do all of these things because her mother and grandmother were like, "How are you going to get a husband if you don't know this? How are you going to get a husband?" That was her life trajectory in the country of Georgia. And she eventually moved to the United States, and she is just recently got her degree from a local community college in HVAC repair because she doesn't want to be, you know, right now. She's doing caregiving to help pay for her college education because she learned those skill sets in her country of Georgia, but she has an intent to do something else with her life, and she can do that in this country. She could not do that in her country. And I
Right.
thought, okay, well, we may get frustrated, and we should, with the progress here, but there's always, someplace worse.
Mhm. It goes I always bring it back to aliens and the cosmos. Like, I mean, Disclosure Day is coming out, and we just saw Project Hail Mary, and I'm just gonna roll with it, okay? So, talked about the Terminator. Um, so but, like, if you brought an alien, like 3 aliens from whatever planet to Earth and said, "Okay, spread out, guys. Spread out, ladies, whatever. Spread out." I don't know if they would even be a sex or a gender, but spread out aliens and put one in North Korea, one in the United States of America, one in, you know, somewhere in Kenya, one in Iceland. Like, just spread them out throughout the world, hit South America. I don't think they would think they were on the same planet sometimes, other
Right.
than we sort of look a little bit alike. Like, but the way that the culture is, and like
Mhm.
you see that juxtaposition, sort of what you were just talking about, whether it's like women's rights or whether it's poverty versus kind of wealth and freedom versus,
Education. Yeah.
yeah, education. I just sometimes think, what would those reports look like when they all reconvened? That's it's really it's interesting to me. It could be different in a good way, but I think a lot of that would be different, not in a great way sometimes.
Well, and I do think that that is why travel is really important.
Mhm.
Um, and not just to, Disney World, and nothing wrong with Disney World. It's a great place to go. And it's the happiest place on earth, right? I think that's what they call it, right? But if you could go to different parts of the world and see how people live in those parts of the world, I think it gives you
Yeah.
perspective that some some areas are thriving where the US is not thriving, and a lot of places the US is thriving where those areas are not thriving. I mean, the truth of the matter is we have it pretty awesome in the United States. We're a very wealthy country. We're number one in line for everything because we're the biggest economy in the world, most important economy in the world still. Um, and, uh, and so and right now we have the World Cup, right? So we have I'm reading all these stories about, I read this story over the weekend. It made me so proud of my, country. But apparently, a small town, I wanna say it's like Lawrence, Kansas, is host to the Algerian World Cup soccer team. And, and this small town in Kansas has absolutely embraced Algeria. All the storekeepers have Algerian flags. The local high school band learned the Algerian national anthem, and when the Algerian soccer team came off the plane, they were out there on the runway playing the national anthem, and all of the local townspeople learned the words and they're singing the national anthem. And I was like, this is the side of America that the rest of the world does not see, right? We
Yeah.
export our Real Housewives of, New Jersey, okay? We do not export Lawrence, Kansas. But Lawrence, Kansas is more America than Real
Yeah, yeah,
Housewives, right?
yeah. Exactly. That's so true. And that just you just brought it right all back to America 250 and America
Mhm.
250 CA and celebrating this country and who we really are authentically. Nothing wrong with a good Housewives episode when you need
We're not
a little like turning your brain off. But you're right. Like, what the rest of the world sees isn't always what's real and authentic America. And I hope that's what we celebrate. And I think that's what it's all about. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I just want to say again to everybody, go out and check Cassandra's episode and all we have in the show notes, websites and places that you can find out all the things that are going on, and do it and celebrate this great country, because it is still a great country and still the best out there. It's still the best in the world, in my humble opinion. Right, right.
I am with you. I am with you. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that that's a wrap on the Spark Short. It was so great to see
Yeah.
you, Michelle,
You too.
and it was such a pleasure to meet and get to know better Cassandra Coleman.
It definitely was. As usual, I say this with every guest because I mean it. I hope we can have her back at some point and tell us how it went, you know, and
Absolutely.
what's next. And
And what's
she was figuring
next?
out what's next.
I
Yeah.
know.
Right.
What's next is going to be big,
Yeah.
and I think
Excited
it'll
for
be
that.
pretty exciting. So no doubt.
Watch this space.
Absolutely.
All right.
Great. Have a great
Have a great
night.
week, Liz. You too.
Okay.
Bye.